The diagram shows the enlarged drawing of a meter rule, and it is being used to measure the length of a small feather. The question is, what is the length of the feather? So the top scale is in millimeter and the bottom scale is in centimeter. So when we read this is 10 millimeter, so it is starting from 10 millimeter, and this one is 29 millimeter. So ending at 29 millimeter. So in terms of millimeter, starting from 10 and ending at 29, so from 10 to 29 means it is 19 millimeter. Or in terms of centimeter, it start with 1 centimeter and ending at 1.9, sorry, 2.9. So starting from 1 and ending at 2.9, so in terms of centimeter, it should be 1.9 centimeter. Or 19 millimeter, you convert into centimeter, divide by 10, so it will be 1.9 centimeter. So either 19 millimeter or 1.9 should be the right answer. But if 19 millimeter or 1.9 centimeter. So when we check the options, you will find that option A, which is 19 millimeter, is the right answer. Because the scale is not starting from 0, it is starting with 10 millimeter or 1 centimeter. Any question you want me to repeat? I will repeat that question. Just let me know once I finish that question. You can just let me know in a chat or you can use your mic. So I'll repeat that question. The diagram shows a speed time graph for a car moving in a straight line. What is the acceleration at time is equals to 40? Remember, whenever speed time graph, when we have a curve, how to get the acceleration from a speed time graph? Whenever there's a curve, first what we do, we will mark a point where we want to find the acceleration, and then after marking a point, what we do, we will draw a tangent to that point, and then we will find the gradient of the tangent. And it is valid for all. Like example, if there was a distance time graph and it was a curve, then we'll do the same steps. If distance time graph, it is a curve, what we will do, we will mark a point, because if it's a curve, it means that it is not constant, it is continuously changing. Yeah, that's right. Because what will happen, we want to find acceleration when time is equals to 40 seconds. So first we'll mark a point where time is equals to 40, and then we have to draw a tangent. So tangent is a line which passes through that point only. So when I draw a tangent, it will be a horizontal line. And in mathematics, maybe you have studied till this topic, that whenever you have a horizontal line, what is the slope of horizontal line? The slope of horizontal line is 0. So even you don't have to use a formula. If the line appear to be horizontal, it means slope is 0. And slope for a speed time graph represent acceleration. So what is the acceleration? The acceleration is 0. So A is the right answer. Is it clear, this question? The next question, this is a speed time graph. The two runners are there taking part in the race, and the graph shows how the speed of each runner changes with time. And speed time graph, what happened to slope, like the slope represent the acceleration. For runner 1, because it is a straight line, so for runner 1, the slope is constant. So it means acceleration is constant. And for runner 2, the slope is decreasing. It means his acceleration is decreasing. Now we have to check the option which explain the two graphs. I just give it this as an information. It has nothing to do with the answer. As what does the graph show about the runner at time t? So at time t, this is a time t. This is a moment when both runners have the same speed, because speed of runner A and speed of runner B both will be same at this point. So both runners are moving at the same speed, that is true. So A is the right answer. Runner 1 has a zero acceleration. No, he's not having a zero acceleration, he's having a constant acceleration. Runner 1 is overtaking runner 2. Runner 1 is, this is not a distance time graph. If it was a distance time graph and this was a graph for a distance in time, the same graph was there, but instead of speed time, if it was distance time and the shape was identical, that time this statement will be right, because we know how much distance is traveled by one object compared to other. So if it was a distance time graph and we'll have this point t, so we can say this is a point when runner 1 is overtaking runner 2, but this is not a distance time graph, it is a speed time graph. That's why we cannot say this is a valid conclusion. And runner 2 is slowing down. He is not slowing down, his acceleration is decreasing. Slowing down means deceleration, and acceleration decreasing, what, like example, maybe first he was moving with 10 meter per second, then he moves then he moves with 20 meter per second, then he moves with 25 meter per second. So you can see here the acceleration is 10, acceleration is 5. So acceleration is decreasing but not the speed. So why C is wrong? Why this C is wrong? Because runner 1 overtake runner 2. So we should know the distance. Like example, if I say two runners are there and they're in the race, so runner 1 and runner 2 both are running. But how I can identify whether runner 1 is overtaking runner 2 or runner 2 overtake runner 1? I should know the moment when they both cover the same distance and the other distance, like the other runner distance, start to increase. So if it was a distance time graph, and numbers will be there, say 10, 20, 30, and say this is 1, 2, and 3. So when time is equals to 3, what is the distance traveled by runner 1? So runner 1, when time is equals to 3, the distance traveled by runner 1 is 20. When time is equals to 3 for runner 2, what is the distance traveled by runner 2? It's also 20. But next moment when the time changes, like example, time become 4. So when time become 4, runner 2 does not cover more distance, but runner 1 cover more distance. So when time is equals to 4, runner 1 is at 40-meter mark and runner 2 is still 25-meter mark. So it means this is a point where both cover the same distance, and now runner 1 overtake runner 2 as it cover more distance. So why C is not correct? Runner 1 overtake runner 2, because this is not the distance time graph. Distance time graph was there, we can identify what is the distance traveled by these two. But because it's a speed time graph, and speed time graph, we have to use area under the graph to calculate the distance travel. And when you see the distance travel, for runner 2, the distance travel is more because that is the area of runner 2. And when we check for runner 1, this is the distance traveled by runner 1. So runner 1 covered less distance than runner 2. That's why he cannot overtake. To overtake, both should cover the same distance so that they can overtake each other. But when we find the distance traveled by runner 1, that is smaller distance because less area under the graph. When we find the distance covered by runner 2, so that is the full area of the graph. So larger area, it means runner 2 cover more distance than runner 1, or it means runner 2 is ahead of runner 1. Runner 1 does not take runner 2. So that's why A is the right answer. Is it clear, this question? In question 3, a satellite is there which orbit the earth above the atmosphere at a constant speed. Whenever object is moving in a circular path, what should be the direction of the force? The resultant force should be there, and it is always directed towards the center. So anything which is moving in a circular path, there should be a resultant force which is directed towards the center. If there is no resultant force towards the center, the object can never move in a circular or a curved path. So which of the force is directed towards the center? It's not A, it's not B, it's not C. Actually, it is D. So whenever object move in a circular path, there should always be a resultant force, and that resultant force always directed towards the center. because the circular motion cannot, the object cannot continue this circular motion if the force is not towards the center. A cup contain a hot liquid. So there is a hot liquid. So evaporation happen. When evaporation occur, like you have a liquid, in evaporation most energetic molecules at the surface escape. So the molecules which are left behind will have low energy. So what happened to amount of the liquid as the liquid evaporates, or the number of the particle that decreases? So due to evaporation, the number of the particle decrease. If the number of the particle decrease, what happened to weight? Weight will also decrease, because we have the formula weight is mass multiplied by gravity. If I say the mass was 5 here, example, and this point the mass is 3 kg. So what is the weight here? 5 multiplied by 10, 5 multiplied by 10, that is 50 Newton. Whereas weight here 3 multiplied by 10, so that is equals to 30 Newton. So if the mass of an object, weight can be decreased by two ways. Either mass should decrease or the gravity decreases. And mass depends on amount of the particle, number of the particle. If amount of matter or the number of the particle decrease, the weight will also decrease. The mass will also decrease. So what happened to the mass? That should decrease, and what happened to the weight? That should also decrease. In question 6, the diagram shows three uniform beam PQR, each pivoted at its center. So the center is pivoted. We have to identify which will rotate clockwise. That's a question. So to identify, first we have to identify the moment, the turning effect. So if we check beam P, there is a 4 Newton force. Which direction this will cause a rotation? What is the direction of the rotation due to force?
Clockwise.
So that is clockwise. And what is the value of the rotation? 4 multiplied by 1. Because the moment or turning effect is force multiplied by distance from the pivot. So that is 4 Newton meter. And when we check the other 4 Newton, which is causing an anti-clockwise rotation. So the value of the anti-clockwise rotation, 4 into 2, that is equals to 8 Newton meter. As you can see, the anti-clockwise moment is more than the clockwise moment. So as a result, what will happen? This beam will rotate anti-clockwise. Means next position of the beam will be like this. As the beam will rotate, because the anti-clockwise moment is more than the clockwise. So it won't rotate clockwise, it will rotate anti-clockwise. So P cannot be an answer. When you check the option, so options which are having P cannot be an answer, because P is rotating anti-clockwise. So it cannot be A, it cannot be B, it cannot be D. So we are left with only C. So without further calculation, I can calculate for others as well, but I don't have to, because I work out that P should always be anti-clockwise, and we have to find which is clockwise. So those options which are having P can never be an answer. So we are left with option C. Or you can also work out for each of the rod, each of the beam. So when you work out the clockwise and anti-clockwise moment, so this will be 5 multiplied by 2, 10. And this will be 2 multiplied by 4, 8. So clockwise is more, so it will rotate clockwise. This is 1 multiplied by 4, so 4 Newton meter, and 1.5 multiplied by 2, so that is 3 Newton meter. Again, for this beam, clockwise is more, so Q and R will be the right answer. In this question, there is an object of mass 50 kilogram accelerated from a velocity of 2 meter per second to 10 meter per second, and the mass is 50. What is the impulse? Impulse is a change in momentum. There are two formulas to calculate impulse. One is force multiplied by time. Another one is impulse is final momentum minus initial momentum, mv minus mu. We cannot use the first formula as we don't know in the force and the time. So we can use the second formula. So impulse is equals to mv minus mu. M is a mass which is 50 multiplied by velocity. The final velocity is 10 minus mass is 50 and the initial velocity is 2. So this will be 500 and this is 100. So when 500 subtracted 100 subtracted from 500, we'll get 400. And unit of impulse, you can say Newton second or you can also say kilogram meter per second. So B is the right answer. A scalar quantity, what is the definition of a scalar quantity? It has magnitude. Magnitude means number. It has unit, but there is no direction. So because all the physical quantities have magnitude, like there should be number, even it is a scalar or a vector, but magnitude is not there for scalar. So it is having a magnitude, but it does not have any direction. So it will be C. If they ask which one is the vector quantity, so vector quantity will have magnitude as well as direction. So in that case, A will be the right answer. Energy is released in some nuclear reactions. Which nuclear reaction take place in a power station? So what we do in a nuclear power station, we take a heavy nucleus which is uranium 235. Question 8 is just a definition of a scalar and vector. So remember, for scalar quantities, any quantity which is having a magnitude, unit, but no direction, that is called a scalar quantity. Like example, if I say today's temperature is 9 degrees centigrade. So what is 9? This number 9 is called a value or the magnitude. And what is degree centigrade? It is a unit. But when we mention the temperature, we don't say in the direction of east, west, north, south, upward, downward. So we don't mention any direction, so there is no direction. So if the quantity does not have any direction and it is having a magnitude and unit, we call that as scalar quantity. But if it was having all the three, magnitude, unit and direction, we will call that as a vector quantity. So this is a general definition of scalar. Energy is released in some nuclear reactions. Which nuclear reaction take place in a nuclear power station? So in nuclear power station, what we do, we take uranium, the heavy nucleus of uranium, which is 235, and we target by neutron. And this heavy nucleus break down into lighter nuclei. This heavy nucleus break down into lighter nuclei. So we call this reaction as a fission reaction, nuclear fission. But on the sun, what happened? How sun is producing enormous amount of energy? The sun consists of mainly hydrogen and helium. So these hydrogen atoms, they combine with each other and they will form a heavy nucleus and release the energy. So as a result, when lighter join to form a heavy, we call that as a nuclear fusion reaction. So on the sun, there is a fusion reaction. On in nuclear power station, there is a fission reaction. So B is the valid answer for this. So a lorry of mass 4,000 kilograms. So this is the mass of the lorry, which is having a speed of 4 meter per second. A car is there which is having a mass of 1,000 kilogram, and it has the kinetic energy of the car is equals to kinetic energy of the lorry. What is the speed of the car? So as they mentioned in the question, that the kinetic energy of the car is equal to kinetic energy of the truck or lorry. And the formula for kinetic energy is half mv square. Or it's better you write 0.5 mv square. So I can say 0.5 multiplied by m multiplied by v square. So here mv square should be the mass of the car, and here half mv square should be the mass and speed of the lorry. So we just substitute the value, but you can see both sides will have half. So this 0.5 on the left and the right hand side will cancel out. Then what about the mass of the car? The mass of the car is 1000. So we will substitute 1000 here, which is the mass of the car. Speed of the car we want to find, so that is v square. This half is already cancelled. Mass of the lorry or the truck, that is 4000 multiplied by speed. Speed is 4 meter per second. So 4 meter per second means 4 square because it is v square. So when we simplify this, this is 1000 into v square is equals to 4 square is 16 and 16 multiplied by 4000. So 16 times 4000 is equivalent to 64,000. So this turned out to be 64,000 when we multiply. 1000 is multiplied, other side it will be divided. So it will be 64,000 divided by 1000. When we simplify, these three zeros will cancel with, so we are left with 64. So it means v square is equals to 64. So v square is 64. We have to take a square root, under root. So when we take a root of 64, under root of 64 is 8. So that's why C will be the right answer. The next question, a force act on an object cause the object to move at a certain distance. Which row represent the largest amount of work done? So what is the formula for work done? The work done is actually a product of force and distance. When we multiply them, we'll get the work done. So you in the first column we have force, in the second column we have distance. So force multiplied by distance, 2 multiplied by 40, that is 80. 10 multiplied by 2, so that is 20. 20 multiplied by 6, so that is 120. And 100 multiplied by 1, so that is equals to 100. The question is, which is the largest work done? So largest work done which give the highest product, so that is option C. Because in case of C, it is giving us the highest product. So work done is a product of force into distance. The next question, a diver's a diver is there who's underwater using a breathing apparatus. The pressure is 1.25 pascal. So he's releasing these air bubbles, and the pressure of these bubbles or pressure on the bubbles is 1.25 into 10 to the power 5 pascal. A bubble of a gas, breathe out from the diver, which is having a volume of 20. So volume of this bubble is 20 cm cube. The bubble is released and the bubble move upward. So example, the bubble moves upward. The temperature remains same, and at the surface of the water, when this bubble reaches the surface of the water, the pressure of the atmosphere or pressure on the bubble is 1 into 10 to the power 5 pascal. So say this diver is there underwater. So he's underwater. At this point, the pressure is 1.25 into 10 to the power 5 pascal, and the volume of the bubble is 20 cm cube. But when he releases the bubble move upward, and when this bubble reaches the surface, the pressure on the bubble is 1 into 10 to the power 5 pascal, which is atmospheric pressure. We want to calculate the volume. Whenever temperature remain constant, the relation between pressure and volume of a gas, we use a Boyle's law. So P1 V1 equals P2 V2. Means first pressure multiplied by first volume is equals to second pressure multiplied by second volume. So P1 V1 equal P2 V2. So we have to substitute 1.25 into 10 to the power 5 multiplied by V1 the first volume, that is 20. P2, the pressure when it reaches the top, that is 1 into 10 power 5 Pascal, multiplied by V2, we don't know, and we are finding that. So we just simplify 1.25 exponent 5 multiplied by 20, and this 1 exponent 5 is multiplied, other side it will be divided. So 1.25 into 10 power 5 multiplied by 20 divided by 1 into 10 power 5, that will give V2. So when we multiply these factors, like 1 exponent 5 will cancel with this. So 20 multiplied by 1.25, which is equals to 25. So D will be the right answer. The atmospheric pressure increases. If the pressure of the atmosphere increases, like atmosphere will push this level. So as a result, what happens? The level X will go down. So this level X, that will go down because more pressure from the atmosphere, and when this level will go down, the other side the mercury will rise in the tube, so level W will go up. So new position of W will be here and new position of X will be below because the pressure has increased. So one side it pushed the liquid, the other side the liquid will increase. So the question is, which distance increases? V and W. V and W. V and W is not increasing, it is decreasing, because first this was a distance between V and W, and now this new distance is smaller. So it is not increasing, it is decreasing. So it's not V and W. Then W and Y. W and Y. Y is fixed. Y, this is Y, which is fixed. So in the beginning, like this was W and Y. But as a result, when the pressure increases, the W rises up. So as a result, when W rises up, the distance between the W and Y will increase. So for this question 13, B is the right answer. X and Y, X and Y does not increase, it decreases, because first this was X and Y and now it's a shorter distance. And X and Z, so between X and Z you can also see first this was X and Z, but now it's a shorter distance. So the only distance which increases according to the option is between W and Y as the pressure increases. In question 14, which statement about evaporation is correct? What happened in evaporation? The most energetic molecules which are there at the surface gain energy and they escape. That's what happened in evaporation. And the molecules which are left behind will have low energy. So evaporation is also known as a cooling process. Why we call it as a cooling process? Because the molecules which are there at the surface, they take energy from their neighbors, from the surrounding. So molecules which left behind, they will have low energy. So evaporation causes the temperature of a remaining liquid to decrease. That's true, because the liquid which is left behind, the particles of the liquid will have low energy, and that's why we call evaporation is a cooling process. So A is the right answer. Why not B, C or D? Evaporation does not occur from cold liquid near its freezing point. That is wrong. Evaporation occur at all the temperature. If we have a liquid, even it is a hot liquid or cold liquid, evaporation will occur. Rate of evaporation may vary. For a hot liquid, evaporation occur at a faster rate as compared to a cold liquid. But evaporation occur at all the temperatures. It does not depends on what is the temperature, like rate changes but process can continue. Evaporation does not occur for dense liquids such as mercury. That's also wrong. Evaporation occur for all kinds of liquid, even it's a low density or high density liquid. All liquids evaporate. Amount or rate may vary, but evaporation is for all of them. Evaporation occur from all parts of the liquid. That's also wrong. Evaporation only occur at the surface. Is it clear? Question 14.